Hey. They know what time it is.
Hey, what it do, what it do?
Always and forever.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all ready, pod?
Mm-hmm. Hey.
Here, your host. I am your host, Phill Walks.
And I am Xzaiver V, but looking like Modelo X a little bit today.
Drink responsibly, ladies and gentlemen, and non-binary people.
All right, all the time.
Got a couple things to touch on today.
Hey, what's going on? What's on the mental?
You know, it's a lot of stuff that's on my mental.
Okay.
You know, like everything. But before I do that, I kind of do want to do a welfare check. How's everyone doing in the building?
I'm doing all right. It's been a phenomenal last couple days for me. Just want to give a shout out to Flint, the city, for showing me mad love the last couple days. I want to give a major shout out to like the last few people that I interviewed, you know, the last people that I hung out with. It's just been nothing but love and good vibes. And so I just want to shout out everybody and all the experiences and things I have, especially you two, because y'all are part of this book that's coming out tomorrow. So just shout outs to y'all, mad love for y'all, and keep doing what y'all doing.
Man, thank you, X, for shining a light on the city where others have looked the other way.
That's like some church. That's not real churchy.
I got a message today.
All right,
you know.
All right, Pastor.
But yeah, let's. You know, we give our roses to Flint, but I would definitely want to give our flowers to you, X. Right?
Okay. Don't put me. See,
you got a book coming out, and that's, you know, one of the things that this platform is used is to highlight Black excellence, right?
Oh, he said the
living,
words.
Breathing, right next to me.
Oof.
Xzavier.
Oof. There's some tingles in the body.
But yeah, so and this isn't your first book, correct?
Correct. This is like my 7th or 8th book now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The knowledge.
I mean, little did people know, like, before all of this, you know, this journalism stuff with Flint City kicked off, like, I was an author traveling the country, writing books and things like that. So this is just, you know, a part of me right now. You know, it might not always be here. I might move into a whole nother realm of spirit living, which has happened before. So I'm just enjoying this moment and just grateful for this moment.
Excellent. Well, thank you, X, so much for all the contributions that you make towards the great city that we live in, Flint, right?
Yeah, listen, and likewise, listen, major moment right here, right quick, because I just want to congratulate this podcast because this is the 5th fucking episode. Like,
number 5, we still alive.
There's 4 weeks in a month, and we on the 5th episode, and we do this once a week. So that means this is the 1 month mark. This is the anniversary. So congratulations to us. We've been out here doing it. We've been rocking it. We've been killing it. I've been getting so many like love and good comments from people that I know who've watched the podcast. They love our commentary. They love our vibe. They love that Benny and Harvey, when she's here, be throwing in their comments and their funny tales and things like that. So they just love the vibe that this podcast brings, or the mood.
The mood, yes. And that leads me to, you know, my second thing that I want to ask, what's your mood today?
My mood, I got the Modelo here, sir. My mood,
need I say more,
is grand. Listen, I got another one in the car, but I'm debating whether or not I want to go get that. I might be saving that one for later. But I'm in a good mood. How is your mood today?
My mood is fantastic. You know, I had a terrific interview with Feemstro.
You did. Congratulations. The set for that, like I said, the set for that looked amazing. I saw the intro on Instagram and on Facebook. The intro was crazy. The editing was amazing. Like,
thank you.
Kudos for that.
You know, and I can't do what I do without Ben. And Ben is like, you know, forever just hidden in the shadows. And I don't know if he likes to be hidden in the shadows, but just can we just appreciate the good brother Benny over there?
Yes, Benny, you know, Beats
getting our audio together. getting the video together,
right?
You know, he does a lot of he wears a lot of hats than his ally hat.
which we stand allies. We stand allies. Just want everybody to know. Thank you, Benny Beats. Always. I'm gonna hug you later, but I'm sending you the hugs right now.
But yeah, so
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, that so. What?
He said he loved me too.
Oh,
I know, right?
Oh my gosh. So yeah, another plug, right? I think I'm starting a new venture in my life, right? Of course we have this platform here.
Okay.
But I feel like there's more good that needs to be done in the city as far as showcasing different events and things like that. So I'm here to announce that Phill Walks is going to be the home of Flint City Vlogs. So I'm the Flint City Vlogger now. That's my new alias.
What? The Flint City Vlog? Okay, well, now you have to explain and go into detail about what this means.
So, I mean, I think it started, just for me doing phase vlogs and stuff like that. And with this kind of new creative drive that I have that's going, we riding all the ways, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I feel like it can get done, I'm going to do it. Okay. And I'm not letting any limitations with equipment, any limitations with, personnel. If it needs to get done, I'm going to do it.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to ask Ben to do it and help me. But yeah, so basically, I guess the premise is just me going around different events in the city and vlogging my experience. But instead of me vlogging as part of phase, it's just kind of me going around asking people questions about what they do, maybe about their experience in Flint, because Flint is coming back alive, we're more than just the water, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the thing, like, you meet people outside of Flint and the first thing is,
this is true,
how's the water?
This is true. I know I've got them questions back in like 2017, 2018 when I was bipping and bopping around the country. They'd be like, oh, where you from, at a bar or something. They'd be like, oh, where you from? I'd be like, I'm from Flint. And then if not the first, then the second question is, how's the water? Oh my God, what's going on with the water? Or, oh my God, we donated something, to help with the water crisis in Flint. So it's always something that is related to that.
And I'll just say, we're still not at the point where it's, it's fixed, you know what I'm saying? So let us just put that out there. But I think this movement is probably just saying is more things to Flint than just the water.
Of course.
It's the people, it's the vibes, it's the city, it's more than downtown. It's a lot of things, you know what I'm saying?
Most definitely.
But yeah, so starting that and so I'm excited about that.
Okay.
But yes, and I'm excited about a lot of things.
Is this like, because I remember, a couple episodes ago, you was talking about, you was Phill 2.0. This was a new Phill. You was moving and shaking and doing. You know what I mean? You was on a whole nother level, whole nother vibe. So is this a part of that? And also, will we add the vlog from the Porch Fest to this as well? So it's like all of this a continuation of these things? So
here's my thing. It won't be a continuation of that, because if I'm performing, then it'll be a phase vlog. Okay. But if it's like, okay, I'm just a guest at this event and I'm getting the opinion and seeing if people like this event, because that's importantly needed. We need to figure out as a community what works, what people like, so we can keep having these events and then bring exposure to more events like such.
Right.
But yeah, so yeah, I'm excited about this.
Well, congratulations
this new journey
on that. You out here doing some damn things. Like, okay.
Yeah, so I'm trying to make some things happen. That's it. But I want to ask a question, and if we can get deep, right? If we can get deep today, I know 3 episodes in a row where we just getting to it.
I said this Well, cause maybe the podcast before this, when I was posting about it, I said, you know, what happens when you get two Scorpios and a Cancer? Like it's always gonna be some kind of deep diving into something, where whatever it is, whether it's emotions, creativity, relationships, life, whatever it is, you're just gonna get that depth to it. So I'm here for it. So hit me, and I got a beer, so let's do it.
Let's do it. So, just thinking about, you know, what's coming up, and, you know, we have Juneteenth, and I want to touch back on the importance of that, but today I want to focus on manhood.
Ooh.
Right? And I think this is like a very interesting conversation because of the dynamic that we have in the room.
Okay.
But yeah, so let me start like this.
Yeah, because I'm like, what is the inspiration of asking this?
Well, Father's Day is coming up, right?
This is true. This Sunday, yes,
I mean, none of us have kids.
Not that I know of.
So what's the next best thing?
Ben, you got some kids over there?
I hope not.
I was gonna say, never mind. I'm not even gonna say what I was gonna say. So I'm gonna just chill.
Okay.
Yeah, cause you know, I can't have HR coming for me.
Please
like that.
don't.
You know
I
what I'm saying?
am HR, bro.
Yo, he is HR.
He is. You are HR.
But yeah, so yeah, I want to just ask you one.
Mm-hmm.
What is manhood to you?
Oh, that's, and you know, now I understand what people mean when I interview them and I ask them questions and they be like, this is such a loaded question. Because now I'm like, this is such a loaded question. And one that I think that I myself have been struggling to define the older I get, especially as a lot of these things become more fluid. And also in asking through my own publication, The Modern Queer, asking LGBTQ plus identified men what their definition of manhood and masculinity is, and just trying to see like what pieces of that puzzle fit with who I am in my spirit. I don't know if I could tell you right off the bat what manhood is. Is it a look? Is it a feel? I don't know. I guess for me, the question to ask that question, but differently, would be, do I feel like a man? Yeah, I think I do. In my own version of that, right? So, when I was growing up, I had, uncles and a grandfather and just people at school who, drilled this, should I call it toxic? Toxic to me and who I was, right? Mm-hmm. Men don't cry, men don't show emotion, not only that, just thinking about, growing up with my mom, my aunt, my grandma, all these women who were born, in the South, during the 40s, 50s, 60s and things like that, who have their own definition of what manhood looks like, and imposing that upon me, right? And saying, well, my grandfather would always say, you're not a man until you had the keys to your own house. You know what I mean? My grandma now, who I stay with, ironically enough, is, would be like, you're not a man unless you have a job. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, but then when we look at relationships and things that.
Wait, have you heard this one? You're not a man until you turn 18?
Definitely that one. Definitely
it's one
18.
of those two. But yeah.
Definitely that. I mean, it's like all these different caveats, right? Like, you're not a man unless, you have a big dick. And, the what's the word I'm looking for? The asphyxiation on penis sizes, right? Mm-hmm. And sex gay. You're not a man unless you sleeping around and fucking with X amount of women. Mm-hmm. Or if, just the way you look and the way you dress and how you supposed to, do all of these things, right? And so for me growing up, trying to figure out what and how I fit into these things or these definitions was very hard for me. Like,
right. Everybody got different expectations. There is like no one set thing that defines someone as a man.
Right.
I think the entire concept is just like made up bullshit
Trash.
that like literally just like confines people to boxes and makes people. It's just another method of control, right?
It's another label.
Yeah, like it's. I don't even think it's a label in this case. I think it's more so. It's just like this like false belief of something like to set a standard for your life too. Like I think the concept of masculinity in general is toxic, not just toxic masculinity.
Right.
But like the very principle of it is toxic.
Well, the very definition of it is flawed, right? Because maybe this might be an interesting segue into something else later on down the line. But, I think when we think of who defined what these things look like or how they move and how they act and how they're perceived, right? Like, it wasn't me. Like, I didn't define none of this stuff. Like, these things, again, were like
They were already
imposed
here,
upon you, and
right.
they were already here. Or better, I would say they were created to, lock me into a certain way of living and moving and thinking about who I am and what my life is and how I'm supposed to interact with my life, right? So I don't know. It's just a murky. Should we even play in that game of calling ourselves men? You know what I mean? Like, what the hell is that? What is a man?
Yeah, again, it's just like a definitional thing that really just causes problems. Like it roots itself in some sort of like traditional worldview that is trying to prescribe how people live in the modern age. And
Definitely.
I mean, the shit was broken then. It's broken now. Like, I'm trying to get my points off through this headache. That's why I'm so quiet. Like,
but I mean, think about like the definitions are not only imposed on us by men, right? But they're imposed on us by quote unquote women, right? Like, what are women's ideas of manhood and masculinity, and how are, I guess, we as men supposed to live up to this standard of what this looks like? So like, okay, so what is your experiences in this realm? How do you feel about this?
So, and for this, I'm gonna go back into the past, right?
Samurai Jack.
Where it, started. Well, not where it started, but I used to live in Texas, and my grandfather.
What?
Yeah, I lived in Texas for 8 years.
What?
In my childhood, right? So my grandfather, which I would say that he's a man, and he provided examples for me of what a man should do around the house.
Can we get an example?
Yeah, I'm going to go there, but so my grandfather, he worked a lot. I mean, to this day, he still works. He's like 70, 5, 3, 4, somewhere around there, right? So, and he provided for the household, and my grandmother made sure the household was running. But he would just, work. If he when he got off of work, he would go straight out to the yard. We have this big land out in Texas, and he'd be on his tractor cutting grass. It's like, you need, the words wasn't there, but he just showed through his actions. Now, at the time, my dad was in Michigan and stuff like that, so I would only see him in the summers. But with that experience was kind of different, because it came with, okay, you need to be on top of your business. You need to be on top of your game. At least once a week, you need to make sure you're doing something for the house. You need to, you need to plan. What's your plan? What's your,
God.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
I hate that one. What's your plan? What's your plan? You got a plan?
But I say that because he was preparing me for the world that's outside. Right? Because if I didn't have those lessons, could I survive to the extent that I am now? You know what I'm saying? So I think those are helpful, but I think where things get muddied is the whole thing where, you know, men don't cry. You know what I'm saying? And I think that.
But what you're describing as being a man is literally just being a responsible person.
Okay.
Or not even that. Maybe even just being a little bit of a workaholic.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, economic conditions shift and stuff, right? Like in this case, his grandfather could support a whole household with one job. And like that doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
Yeah,
like at all.
Very true.
But like that's not man specific.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that's the example that I had of
men
men in my life. So I'm giving you that example.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, as like this is back to the problem of the definition of what it means to be a man. Mm-hmm. Is like these definitions literally are not gender specific or anything like that.
Right. I mean, example, my mom, single parent mom. Mm. She worked a lot. Mm. And my grandmother kind of filled in the spaces where she would be at. Right. I mean, she was still a mother to me and a mother to my brother, but she worked a lot to a point where, you know, kind of put her health in jeopardy and stuff like that. But, but yeah, I mean, but it gave me this idea of, I would say, the first conception of what is a man, and kind of how as the world changed, that changed as well. Mm. So, I wouldn't say that my dad taught me that. He didn't say that men shouldn't cry. However, when I was playing football, he was like, yo, shake that off. You know what I'm saying? Like, get up, get back up. He played football as well. You know what I'm saying? But that identity of what is man is changing.
Right. Well, I don't think even like the don't cry thing isn't something like you're like, sometimes it's explicitly told, but like as we look to role models in our life, like have you ever seen your father cry?
Yeah.
Never.
Like as a child?
Never.
But see, again, mine is different because I wasn't around him all the time.
Yeah, I mean, sure, but what I'm saying is like if that's your role model for who to be, you're gonna end up like internalizing that. Like that's the whole concept of like a generational curse. It's not like something you're told to do. Mm-hmm. It's like what you watch happen, and then you become that.
As a child, your parents and your family are basically God, right? And
that is where everything starts. And ends.
You are absorbing, by osmosis, their actions, their feelings, their responses to things, like how they navigate and move through the world, and what they say and what they do. And like Ben said, you internalize that, because I know for me, I definitely internalized a lot of things that gave me a lot of conflict, because I was an emotional boy growing up. I was extremely emotional. I always cry. I always felt something.
Same.
You know what I mean?
Same.
Like
second grade, like second grade, I cried all the time to where motherfuckers was just tired of me crying. It was like, damn, like all the other kids, like the girls, the boys, the teacher, everybody was like, damn, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? But and I think I just had to kind of like grow out of that. And
why?
Well,
I was gonna say accept that maybe instead of grow out of it.
I don't think me crying about situations. Situations that I maybe can or cannot situations that I cannot control.
I think that's the only time where like crying makes sense. Well, it's one of the times crying makes the most sense, because like crying is generally just like a healthy release of your emotions. Right. Like it's not a problem solving thing by any means. But
most definitely. I think that's where like society kind of plays a big role in defining who you are. Well, your environment, right? Mm-hmm. And so you said it ends and begins at your family, but I think society has a big role to where
your family exists in society. Right. So like they've been shaped by the same pressures that they shape you with.
Right.
So it's
in a sense the family is a microcosm of society. Mm-hmm. So if society is the macro, family is the micro.
Right.
So whatever the society is replicating, best believe that it's being reproduced doubly so in family.
I think I got really fortunate being raised by my mother and grandmother in this regard. Because, like, I'm very emotionally well-rounded, and I don't have, like, problems expressing my emotions. And, like, I cry, get frustrated, stuff like that. It's not like I'm sitting here, like, blocking out who I am or anything. Or, like, even in my relationships, like, I'm completely fine being, like, 100% open and shit. Like, there's nothing... I don't know, I think I'm just better off, given who my biological father was, and all the problems associated with his life and his failed relationships. Like, I think I'm much better off in this position than I would have been.
But see, to me, those are things that would define the term manhood in a positive light of that society is changing. When you have men that can be emotionally available, not afraid to discuss their emotions and how they feel. I believe struggle in not communicating my emotions, but communicating how.
No, you had it, bro.
How
How
I feel about certain things, but jeez, bro, jeez.
You had the sentence, bro.
But I think that has changed though. I feel like I struggle with communicating my point on a lot of things, and like I might say that I feel one way, but I might feel a whole different way, and it's just misstrued very differently than how it's coming out my mouth. And I struggle with that. But I think I struggle with that as a person, not pertaining to me
being a man.
You're right.
So is that you don't have the proper ability to process your feelings into words, or is it that you're shielding your feelings with different words?
Ooh.
Because that's what determines whether or not, like, are you incapable of it, or are you intentionally not doing it? Whether, even if it's like you don't have to put effort into it now, but it's like a subconscious thing where you, like, choose your words carefully in order to not reflect what you're fully feeling.
Ooh. What he's saying.
No, that one. I agree with Ben.
Right.
It's at least with the case with you, Justin, like, now getting to know you, is I agree. Like, I don't think you have a problem expressing how you feel. I think it's mostly, like Ben said, like, it's to be vulnerable and express how you feel comes with a certain level of vulnerability and a certain level of comfortability in being vulnerable and expressing how you feel and sort of exposing yourself. And I think to tie this back into manhood and what being a man is, I think for a lot of us, it's an uncomfortable aspect for us, that vulnerability aspect, because depending on how you grew up, you may not have necessarily had the right tools or had the right examples to sort of navigate how to express what you're feeling and being comfortable and being vulnerable and expressing what you're feeling.
Right.
Because I know for me growing up, my only examples of emotion was, anger. When my family came together, we fought. It was a lot of arguing, a lot of back and forth, right?
Okay.
So I had no problem expressing myself in an angry fashion, but
that's so different than vulnerability, though.
Right. Say what?
Because it was normalized.
It was normalized, right. But it's one thing to, on the flip side, be able to sit like the three of us are doing and be like, hey, this is what I feel. This is when I feel it. What you do makes me feel like this, and based on my experiences and growing up and what has happened to me, these are my feelings on whatever subject and matter is happening. Like, that takes a comfortability to be within oneself and just to be open with that. And I think that's what I mentioned last podcast about how just me being who I am, and now me being so expressive and me being comfortable saying whatever it is on my chest, how it makes other people uncomfortable because they're not used to that. You know, we want to be politically correct or polite.
The vulnerability thing, like you could be raised in like the most open and loving household, and then you get thrown into a classroom with like 30 other kids, and like 10% of them, let's just say even 10% of them weren't raised with that ability to be vulnerable. Whole classroom fucked. Like, because then you get like the bullying dynamic and shit,
True,
right?
true.
And that like closes everyone off.
Yep. Yep.
But see, I would just say that's why music is a very important outlet to me, because I feel like in music I can interpret my emotions and channel my emotions way better than I can in words. And that's kind of why, like, in interviews, I don't really talk that much. Ben does a lot of the talking. It's hard for me to, like,
I pick up, see like that, see how he couldn't say shit. I pick up all the pieces and put them together.
Right. But so that's what you do. But then me, on the other hand, I'm the kind of guy who's like, "What's going on, Phill?
Yeah.
What's happening? What do you want to talk about?" Like, I mean, then, you know, my photographer friend, she always gets something. She like, you know, there's boundaries here, and I'll be like, listen, like, I have boundaries, but like when it comes to emotions and expressing how you feel, like, there is no boundaries. Like, let's talk about this. Like, obviously, it is giving you some sort of contention, like you're getting a feeling, a tightness in your chest or in your throat. Like, to me, that is a clear physical and energetic sign that this is something that you really want to talk about and you really want to discuss. So, you know, let us create a space where we can have those conversations and things like that. But that's something that I had to learn.
The position you're in, where you like interview people, you meet them that day, and then you talk to them for a couple hours, and then you got to pour their life into an article, right? Like, you don't have a choice in that. Like you got to get the shit, right?
This is true.
Like, you got to get in there. With him, I've known him for like Phill, I've known him like 7 years or some shit like that. Yeah. So like, I can just intuitively,
right?
Like, it all makes sense to me, just like instantly what is going on. Like, it's not like, so I don't know. Like, he doesn't have to necessarily be great at communicating his points to me at this point in my life, because I just kind of know.
I mean, but y'all have that chemistry, y'all have that relationship with each other, and y'all have had
that's what I'm saying. Like,
y'all have had to build that, right? And it's nice when you can have that bond and that relationship where you don't have to use words to be able to convey how you feel. Like, that other person just knows. Like, you can walk into a room and you be like, ooh, like, something's going on with you. Clearly you don't want to talk about it, but I'm here if you do want to talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's, if you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that's the relationship that you two have built over these last, 7 8 years.
Let me ask you this, Ben. Is there something that I could say to you that would make you feel a way about our whole friendship?
Yeah, there's definitely things that could fuck up our friendship.
Really?
Bitch ass motherfucker.
Nah, I don't give a shit about all that. It's more about actions and shit.
See, that's how I feel. Like, if someone is going out their way to hurt me, then you're no longer my friend. Like,
no, it's not even going out the way. Like, if your carelessness leads you to me feeling a way, you fuck. And I'm not like a very forgiving person. So like, once these boundaries are crossed, once the bridge is burned, I ain't rebuilding shit, bro. You drowning in the river.
I can see it all in your face, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of where, I don't know, I differ, because my recallability is like, you might have like did something and I might have felt some way about you, but like, time might heal that and I might just forget about it totally. You know what I'm saying? So
I think you read into people a lot less than you probably should. Is your problem? Like, I probably read into people too much, for sure.
Yeah.
But you on the other end, like, somewhere in the middle is where we should both be.
I'm too trusting. Am I too trusting?
That's a word.
Would you say
I mean, I usually say dumb, but like trusting works, bro.
Oh my gosh.
Dude.
I'm keeping it 100, bro.
I mean, yeah,
you want the pod content, bro? I got you.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, damn, you know, like manhood, the whole topic in general. I mean, I think there's still something that exists called manhood, I guess, but I feel like the definition has changed greatly.
Yeah, you know, it's expanded tremendously, especially when you include, you know, non-binary people and transgender men, right? Like those two, those two alone, you know, just blew everything up. And then when you think about just, you know, gay men and, you know, how gay men, you know, present themselves to the world, that really just blew shit up.
Right. I think I have an interesting point to make. So the concept of whiteness, like being a white person, isn't a thing you are. It's a list of things you're not. It's an exclusionary identity. In being white, I am not a person of color. That's it. That's all white means. Like, white is not a culture. It is not a group. It is not anything like that.
Correct.
So I would say that manhood is very much the same way. Like the definition, it's exclusionary. Like,
correct.
It's slowly becoming more open, but honestly, not really. Like you look at like if you call yourself a man, or identify as a man, whatever the fuck. I don't think it's identify as in this case. Even though there's no such thing as identifying as. I just want to get that out there. If you're a man, you're a man, right? Cool. But
it is what it is.
But it's exclusionary to the extent like, oh, if you're gay, you're not a man. I'm sure you've heard that like enough in your life.
Way
right?
too many times.
Yeah, or like if you're
That's
trans,
crazy.
you're not a man. Like shit like that.
We'll get to that. Okay. You know, we'll get to that in a second.
Like if you're trans man, you're not a man. Like shit like that.
Right.
Like I don't think manhood is a list of things you are. I think it's a list of things you're not.
So to add further to that, you know, sort of tying the two together, whiteness and manhood and masculinity, you know, when we look at, you know, which is so funny that we having this conversation right now, and there's this whole big debate around critical race theory, right?
I wouldn't call it a debate so much as just people in bad faith trying to be racist,
being dumbasses.
Yeah, that's a good word.
And so one of my favorite books that I read in 2018 was a book by a woman named Cheryl Harris, and she used her dissertation to create a book called Whiteness as Property, and understanding that whiteness is mainly utilized in the sense to seize and mass property. Whatever property that is, it could be human beings, human life, land, capital, you know, whatever it is, whatever we consider to be property is what whiteness is and what whiteness was created for. And so when we can tie whiteness into manhood and masculinity, because by putting whiteness and manhood on a plateau, that gives you access to certain property, right? That you would not otherwise have being a person of color.
Okay.
So, or like being a woman.
So anything that falls outside of white manhood, you don't get access to the property that it comes and is attached to whiteness itself.
And I think culture has been shaped by that concept.
Of course.
Like, I don't think like the whole manhood conversation in general, I think is shaped around the Anglo-Saxon identification of a landowning white male.
Of course. That's literally
that's all that definition is. Like, it may evolve, but it's still like its roots are in something horribly problematic. So I think like this is why I think like it doesn't exist. Because it's exclusionary identity. Like, whiteness doesn't exist. It's just like a lack of something, right? It's like darkness. There's just no light.
Basically, European descendants gave up their cultural identity, like their Russian identity, their East or West European-ness. We think of the Italians, we think of the Greeks, we think of the Poles, the Slavs. Like, when they came across here, what happened is in order to amass this property, in order to, what's the word I'm looking for, have success in this land, they had to give up, or they gave up willingly their ties to their European ancestry for this idea called whiteness. That's basically what
yeah,
that
I mean,
is.
it's real weird too, because you look at like Italians immigrating, and like, I'm not trying to get into this whole thing, but like Italians or Irish people weren't like considered white.
Right. They were considered people of color.
Yeah. And they're pretty pale, bro. Right? like,
Have you seen them? Like,
yeah, like, but that's what I mean by like exclusionary is
Right.
like, it's all about what you're not. Like, if you are a man, you're not a woman, you're not emotional, you're not caring, you're not empathetic.
Right.
Like, it's a list of things you can't be. It's not a list of like
What
attributes where
be.
it's like, I believe in like truth and honor and these. That's not manhood. Manhood is all about not being the soft things that are actually valuable to humanity. It's all about, it's just imperialism in like social form, right?
So let me bring it to a different place, right?
Right. Bring it.
Okay. So I'm gonna just ask this. Ben, you're not gonna have kids, correct?
True.
Okay.
He
Xzavier,
did say that. I remember that.
you want kids, correct?
I do.
If you have
At
a
least one.
human being, and this human being is perceived to society as a male, how would you raise that individual? I'm getting to it today.
No, because
No, you're wrong in your wording. You can't be perceived as male. You are male. You can be perceived as man or woman.
Well,
I'm just helping you out, bro.
I was just say, like, I see a lot of times that people are having kids and they're not putting
ascribing, the gender.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that shit's weird, bro. Like, why do you need to know the genitals of my child? Like, I think, like, gender reveal parties, fucking weird.
Well, I think
like shit like that.
Well, yeah. Well, first and foremost, I think we lack a misunderstanding that these beings that come through these portals do not have any thoughts or feelings or emotions or anything of their own. Like, and just gender and label in the gender parties and things like that, we're already ascribing some sort of something to this human being before they even out the womb, right? Before they even have had time to have their first breath, right?
Also, how do you raise a child differently? Like, if you have a boy or a girl, like, what process is different that you do? Do you not teach them, feed them, clothe them? Like, I don't understand. Like, are you just saying, like, what color to paint the room? Because that seems problematic to me, too. Like, labeling toys for different genders is problematic.
It's all problematic, right? Because it only allows us to see in very, is the word binary ways?
Yeah.
Is that very binary ways, right? It doesn't allow us the opportunity to expand our mindset and our mentality to think something different or think something far-reaching, right? Because again, like, we're ascribing male or female to these human beings, but you haven't even asked that human being who this person is. Who are you? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, we don't even do that. We think just because I birthed you, I helped in this process of birthing you.
It's like an ownership thing.
Yeah, I own you now.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, what the hell is that? Like, children have rights of their own. Little do we know, but we don't talk about that because we think, stay in the child's place. We think this child doesn't know anything about the world, doesn't have feelings, doesn't have a connection with spirit or the divine.
Because that's how we were treated.
Because that's how, and we just keep repeating this cycle. But unfortunately, for a lot of us who are having children at this time, we kind of fucked up because these kids that are being birthed now are totally different, and a lot of them are rejecting a lot of the shit that we grew up with and that our parents taught us, and they are really like stepping out and stepping into who they feel that they are. I think a prime example of that is Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union's daughter,
gonna bring him
Zaya.
up,
You know what I mean? And big ups, especially so reintroducing this concept of manhood and what that means and being a father. Right. Mad big ups to Dwayne Wade.
Yeah, that shit is beautiful.
Right? Like how he took what is considered to be a prime masculine macho, to come from that world of basketball to be able to say, you know what? I'm going to take the time to check me, my beliefs, my ideas, how I was raised, because my child or this person that I helped create and usher into this world is telling me that this is not who I am. This is who I am.
Right. Yeah.
And so that takes a level of something, an intuitive something to be able to.
Well, it's an ego thing, right? It's always like, well, I don't want my kid to be like this.
Right.
It's always that. Like the amount of ego you have to shed to just be open to listening to what your child has to say is unbelievably large. Like that's just not easy. Like it's not an easy thing to do in this society to like literally just listen to your child.
Of course, because we want that control.
Yeah.
Right.
Like that shit is
so
beautiful.
Really bad.
Okay.
No, you gotta hold it.
Out here, got the PPs.
Yo, I'm gonna just let it keep recording. You can cut it.
Right. So, let's wrap it at this. Right.
God damn it.
I want to tie this into Invincible, but
I know.
We can.
Oh,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
no.
We can save that for
Damn, we doing 2 this
for
week, bro?
later talk.
Just like in general, can this be a part 2 to this discussion?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what Ben's got up, but I wanna say,
you mean like right now?
Let's say in like 5. I would say in like 5 maybe. I would say 5 years, right? 5 years with roles and identities being blended. I think we're going to get into an era where parents are going to have 2 names. Like, I know names don't like mean that you're male or female, but I think it might be like an option to have in the future, as to you have 2 names, and then maybe like when you're 16, you can have a name that you want. Either you keep your same name.
Oh, I thought you meant the parents would have 2 names.
No,
I was
no.
like, how the fuck does...
No.
I was sitting here making a face, bro. Like, I don't understand what the fuck you trying to do.
Stop.
Like, I gotta pick another one if I have a kid, bro? That shit crazy.
Yeah, so I would just say, since our society is moving at a fast rate, right? And how we look at things and how things are changing, where do you see it going in 5 years? That's where we should wrap this at.
Nowhere.
Look how far it grown in like 3 to 4 years.
I think
fam.
the next generation always ushers in a new wave of consciousness, right? Like, I think as we continue this, or rather I would say, I believe and I hope that a lot of these things will fall by the wayside. Especially like as our generation continues to examine and evolve who we are, I think it's only a natural evolution that, the offspring that we produce will continue in their own right, I guess, in a sense, that legacy or maybe that charge.
Well, every generation does that. And every generation before them fucking hates them for it. Like, it's just how it works.
But I mean, I don't think...
Oh, no. Our generation will hate them.
Ah, that's terrible.
That's just, like, part of the process, man. And that's cool. That's a good thing. That's a great thing.
Well, maybe.
Like, no, well, I mean, I think of it, if I start seeing, like these little kids on TikTok or whatever doing shit, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I sit back for a minute and go, this is kind of cool. Because, like, this is shit I would have never accepted.
Right.
And maybe, like, I try real hard to, because I'm not that old, but I try real hard to, like, understand where they're coming from and learn from it. But what I'm saying is like that moment of me being like, like when I first heard about the concept of like gender fluidity, I was like, fucking pick one, right? And now I'm like, but I really like nuances. I enjoy that moment where I'm like, why does this make me mad? And then I remember I'm an old fuck now, and I'm like, you know, they onto something. Like, there's some good shit.
And so that's what I mean. Like, I think our generation is having to examine a lot of stuff about us, right? And I think as the next generation moves into its position, I think for us, we will go in, you know, we will be riding along with them with a more open mind than I say our parents and our grandparents have done with us.
Right. And I would say, you know, for me,
that's the internet.
Like when raising my individual, whenever that time is, they will be spending a lot of time with Uncle Benny. Cause he has a lot of wisdom.
I'm gonna fuck your kids up. Shit. They gonna learn how to pack my hookah heads, bro.
Damn.
Like, yes, I'm here for it.
No indenture slavitude here, bro. Chill.
Slavitude.
But I think like even my perspective and my stances have changed immensely. Just in like 4 to 5 years. If I had a kid like 4 and 5 years ago, I think they would have been raised a lot differently than how I would raise them
almost definitely
now. You know what I'm saying? Like if I had a little girl or a little boy, I think the treatment of them would be very similar. Like no matter who it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think
I would say that Dwayne Wade is a great example and a great person to look to, and you know, not saying that he's perfect, but you know, just saying that he is doing some good things.
I also just want to say that I understand that parenting is not as simple as this conversation.
Oh, hell no.
Like,
true.
Things change when you got a little screaming ass kid running around the house, right? And you just want to stick an iPad in front of them so you can do literally anything with your day. And like, I understand that.
Concentrated
but I
evil
think,
is running around the house.
Yeah. But I think the way to like grow in this regard is to like change who you are instead of like trying to imprint your ideals onto them. You just lead by example, because that's like the only way you can lead anything is with example, right?
And being fluid in that. Like one day your kid might do one thing and you be like, okay, I guess we moving over here, and then the next day you know, you pivot left.
Yeah, you like that's something my family has been fucking amazing for. I mean, they're not perfect by any means. Like there's some unhealthy banter and shit like that, you know, but like they've been very good at just like, if I like see something I want to pursue and I get fixated, they just pour all of their support into like whatever. Like that's how we ended up like with the music shit. Is I just like music shit, and then ended up like every birthday or Christmas I get a new instrument and I'd get to learn it and like that kind of thing. So like they went out their way to make sure that I was doing what I wanted to do.
That makes me, total transparency, that makes me a little emotional, because I didn't have that at all, and to this day I still kind of don't have that. But I understand.
You're old enough to pick your people now.
Yeah, and
you got books, bro.
I know. And I recognize now that, you know, though I needed those experiences to get me where I am and make me who I am today. But I'm just like, oh, it just stuff like that just makes me so emotional.
I mean, it's unfortunate that not everyone has that, for sure. But it's like, it's been a big help, for sure.
Yeah. And I guess with that, Ben, can you play us out?
Play my outro.
Y'all asking too much. I don't even got that shit pulled up.
So guys,
all right,
make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe,
comment,
more dope conversations.
Cheers.
Hopefully we can eventually touch on Invincible.
Oh my God, Invincible. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's
chill, bro. It's the outro.
Yeah. But again, guys, love you guys for watching. Appreciate all the support that you guys have been showing us, all the love.
And once again, let us know what's your mood.
What's your mood? Hey.
I'm not gonna cut that. I want you to know. You gonna hear it when I play it back,
Please,
and you're gonna be like, you gonna leave that in, and I'm gonna leave it in.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
No, I mean you're not gonna ask like you were happy.